So Italian made, PID controlled, full style group heads, which you can adjust the temperatures. You've got an inbuilt grinder as well, inbuilt water tank, and it comes out of Italy for under $1,500. Well, yes, there is an option. It's the Lelit Anita. Let me tell you more about this machine while I make you a coffee. One of the biggest questions that I get asked when people are trying to buy a coffee machine is, do they go and buy a, something from an appliance store, or what can they do to get into the Italian style coffee machines? And there's always been a huge gap between those prices of what an appliance store has and the Italian made machines. But right now there's certainly a bridging of those prices starting to happen, and huge amount of quality that are coming in, like this Anita. So basically you can get yourself an Italian made machine with individual temperature control for brewing or steam. You've got your grinder, and it is under that $1,500 price point. So it's definitely a machine that you should look at. But I'm gonna make you a coffee and just take us through the whole process, because a lot of people don't understand about the quality that you're gonna get from one of these Italian stainless steel machines, and how you can actually utilize it to make that quality cafe product that you're looking for at home. So the first thing we're going to look at is the grinder. It is an inbuilt grinder. It's a 38mm conical burr set. Now with this grinder, you can actually remove this whole hopper. There's a set of numbers, and really they're just a reference guide. You can pick them up and move them as much as you like, and you just use the little notch here as a reference point. On the right hand side, there's a knob there that's going to let you go finer or coarser. And if you can't remember, finer will slow down your extraction, and coarser is going to make it a lot faster. We've got a portafilter handle here. There's a range of baskets that you can have between this 18 gram basket. There's about a 13 gram basket, your blind basket as well, and the good old 7 grams. But in this basket here, I'm going to aim for 19 grams. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my large scale that I don't have right now. There we go. And I'm going to tear off the portafilter handle. It's a full one-piece portafilter handle with a 57mm diameter. So not quite the 58, but it is a wonderful size. It's much bigger than that 54 that we see in entry-level machines. So I've got that teared off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to grind some coffee. And we're going to be looking to fill this basket to about 2/3 full. Just going to bring it out. Just give it a little level like that. And we're going to grind off to another little mound. Okay, give that away. And we're at 17.6 grams. So I reckon we can fit the full 18 grams in there. Let's just give that one little tap. Just get a little top up on there. Cool, all right, 18.3. Let's give that a go. So we always want to level our coffee out. And we're going to use one of these 57mm Lelit levelers, because we want to get good distribution in our coffee puck. So pop that in, give it a bit of a spin. Now it needs to be tamped. The Anita does have this inbuilt tamper, so you could put it into here, lift it up, and give it a tamp. But we do always recommend getting a much better tamper. So there is an aftermarket product here, which is a 57.35mm tamper. That is really going to seal around the outside, because we want to make sure that we get that seamless coffee compression in the puck, so that the water won't have a gap around the outside. So definitely with this machine, getting that little upgrade is something I would highly recommend. We've got our coffee ready to go. Our handle is already hot, and we have the machine set on the brewing function. So it's a very simple single boiler machine, which is 0.25 of a litre, or 250ml. And that has been totally filled up, because we're sitting at 94 degrees. That's the brew temperature for a good blend. Now, if you had a light roast coffee, you could increase that up to maybe 96, 97, or a darker roast, you'd lower that down maybe 92, 93. So we're ready to go. We've got the boiler full of water, and we're on the brew down the bottom. You've got your pump to be able to activate and give it a bit of a flush. We're going to lock in our group handle here. I'm going to grab my scale, because it's all about recipes. So we've got our 18.5 grams in our coffee basket. We're going to look to get double that, or a 2 to 1. So popping on our cup, and we're going to tear it off. It's really simple now. Because of the 3-way switches, we're ready to brew. We are going to hit the pump on, and we're going to watch the extraction come out through the double portafilter handle there. You can see it's quite slow, dark. Oh, I forgot to start my timer. Better give that a quick go. It's a nice rich crema that's coming through. This is coffee that's about 10 days old as well. And just watching that extract right now. It's not doing super fast. It's keeping that nice constant mouse tail that we're after. And I'll pop that off. Okay, now that got a 20-second extraction and I got 39.1 grams. So if we wanted to slow that down, we would go finer on our grind or coarser with that easy knob on the side. Now I reckon I had probably 4 seconds or so that I missed that timer. So it's pretty close for that extraction. So we want to think about making our milk coffee. Now, essentially we want about a froth. Now it is a single boiler machine. So if we take out our puck, we can always inspect that as well. We can see there's a little bit of a channel down that side, but there's definitely a little bit of sponginess that's being able to allow that coffee to expand and brew nicely. We always want to flush our head, so we'll just give that a quick little flush. And now in the three-way switch, if we had maybe a long black, we'd pop it into the middle, we turn on the pump, and then essentially we can open up the steam tap here, and we would get hot water. If we don't want hot water and we want to go to steam, we simply go to steam, turn the pump on, open up this valve for a little bit, pop the pump off again, and what's going to happen now is that the boiler is heating up to a much hotter temperature. The PID here has changed. It's going to try and get up to about 127 degrees. And as it heats, the hot water's got to go somewhere. So it's forcing its way out of the boiler into the hose from the milk wand here, which is basically pushed out all that hot water. We've caught the hot water. We're going to turn off the valve. You'll see that the pressure or the temperature will start to rise quickly, and then it'll be ready to go. It's time to get some milk. So I've got myself a small jug, and for a small cup, definitely use a small jug. Now, because we do have that 0.25 of a litre boiler, it's a nice gentle steam. It's not crazy, it's not something you're going to be afraid of, but it's going to be a great pressure to get a vortex, and that's what we're looking for with any frothing unit essentially. If we can't get a vortex, you don't have enough steam. If you get a good vortex and you can get a good hiss happening on your milk, you can get that really velvety, silky cafe quality. So right now we're at 126, and I know 127 is where it's going to stop. We're going to purge first to get a little bit of that water out, as you do with any boiler. Position our wand. Now the key with this one is make sure that that milk jug spout is actually in the steam wand. We're going to pop it under, have that tip just under the liquid, and turn it on. So it's surprisingly a good amount of steam there. Now as we lower it, because that scream means we've got no hiss, we're going to get the hiss. And that's getting that silky milk coming through, because that little crackle being constant is making milk foam right now. Now the boiler's on, it's going to keep that steam pressure up. So you can make multiple in a row if you need to now. But we're getting a good amount of foam, which is nice. It's getting warm, just lift it up and keep it spinning. So you can see that vortex. There's plenty of steam pressure there to make a good vortex. It's getting a little bit too hot. We'll turn it off. Just make sure you let that noise stop and the steam make its way out of the steam wand. Give it a clean up, a bit of a squirt, and let your milk sit. Now just while your milk's sitting, I'll just show you the gauge here. You do have the ability to see the pump pressure as well on this machine. So if you're finding that your coffee is just gushing out really quick and you're not getting pressure of around that 9 in that green zone between 8 and 9, you're way too coarse and the water is just passing through quickly. So the gauge there is a good little tip to see about the pressure that you're applying to the coffee bed. I've got my milk here ready with a couple of little bubbles on the top. We're going to get a little tap out, give it a good swirl, and if you look at the side of the milk jug, you can see the quality of the bubbles, all right, or the microfoam that you've made. There's 1 or 2 big bubbles, but essentially that is silky, beautiful milk. Like anything, I'm going to give it a bit of a swirl our milk, start high, create a good base in there, go around the cup, come back to the middle, and finish off with a nice little pretty pattern. So that is pretty impressive milk from a single boiler machine. And not a bad pattern at all. One thing I do like about the Anita is that you have a wet drip tray and a dry drip tray. So there is space for you to deal with the grinds and the wet totally separate, because you don't want to have those two mixing together. So that's a cool little feature that the machine has. In terms of water, it's a vibration pump. We're not going to be able to plumb this in, but you've got the 2.7 litre water tank at the back here. Once it's full, just pop in your hoses and it'll self-prime when you start. With any vibration pump machine, when you first turn them on, if it doesn't quite work, just give the hoses a bit of a squeeze and you'll activate backwards pressure and that pump will kick straight in. So there's a little tip for you when you're dialing in for the first time. On the grinder side, I would just bottom out those burrs. So take out the hopper before you put any beans in, get it to grind by pressing your dosing handle button or activation button down here, and then just keep going fine until you hear those burrs just to align. Go back about half a turn on the burr set, just watch that burr set when you're looking in the top, move back around, then start with your fresh beans and you will be pretty close to nailing that beautiful espresso straight away. The hopper's nice, it's not big, bulky and sitting on the top, it does sit inside the machine, which is pretty cute. And it's 130 grams of beans it can hold in there. So enough for a couple of days for the average family. So I know what you're thinking, how do I now make another coffee? Well, it is pretty simple to go from a steaming back to a brewing. Because we are at a higher temperature, we would pop our pump on. We're going to open up our steam and you'll start to see that the water is filling that boiler again as well. You can do that by running the brew switch. So once water is coming out here and water's coming out the steam wand, essentially you are full. The boiler's full. That is going to bring that steam out of the boiler, pop in fresh cold water, rapidly drop the temperature back down to those 90s as you can see now. So it did drop down to 90 or 89 degrees and it's going to now heat back up to the brew temperature of 94 degrees. And then once you're at 94, you're ready to brew again. So pretty quick and simple to be able to go between espresso extractions and frothing. It's about 30 seconds for it to heat up to the steam temperature, but really quick to go back and do a second espresso. So if you're going to have a milk coffee and then a black coffee, I would say do the milk first, get that one out of the way, and then because you bring that espresso temperature by the PID back down to the 92, you'll be ready to go for that second brew, and you'll get those two coffees out pretty quickly to you and your family. For those keen eyes, you might have noticed I actually had it on the hot water setting, so it was going up to boiling water. So just make sure if you're going to go back to an extraction, you want to be on the bottom setting for that 94 degrees. But you can go in and change those temperatures. So if you hold down the button, you've got T1. Essentially, once you've selected that, you can go up or down to change temperatures and give it a couple of seconds, and there we go. It'll pop back, and that means it's set. So T1 is your brew temperature, and T2 is this steam pressure, which I wouldn't change. Just leave it at the 127. You're going to have ample steam and that'll be perfect for you. Well, there you have it, the Anita. It's an all-in-one grinder and single boiler Italian-made machine, packing a lot of features and some great value. As I said earlier, maybe just look at getting yourself a nicer tamper and some sort of distributing tool. They're the 57 mils for these Anitas, so just make sure you get that one, and you're going to have the complete package to be able to make that great cafe quality coffee at home that you always wanted. If you've got any questions, pop them down below. Look forward to starting that chat for you around the machine. I reckon it's a great package. They're on amazing deals right now. So if you want one in Australia, go to artisti.com.au and score yourself a deal. All right, well, thanks very much for watching, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.